Good morning, students. We were reading the essay on the pleasures of no longer being young, written by G.K. Chesterton. We were discussing the advantages of old age, the common errors which young men commit during their youth. They are not aware of some mistakes which they are committing unintentionally because they are doubting the practicality of some proverbs and maxims which old people are frequently speaking and we can say illustrating. In the second paragraph of the essay, he is discussing some of the proverbs. Before that, Chesterton is throwing light on the nature of young men, that they are doubting the veracity of these proverbs, the practicality of these proverbs. For them, these maxims, proverbs, institutions of life are away from practicality. Young man thinks himself to be in a graveyard where all around are tombs only. Rather than being given the freshness of a garden, rather than being given a fresh bread, he is given stones and tombs all around. Though it is a mistake of the viewpoint of a young man, but still it is a mistake. The advantage of advancing years lies in discovering that traditions are true. Therefore, why traditions are true? Why they are continuing? Why they have been there for a long time, for centuries? Because they have something important in them. They have something vigorous in them. That's why they are continuing. Only that thing is continuing which has some importance. Otherwise, many species came and they became extinct. If proverbs are of no value, they shall be extinct. They are continuing because they have some practicality. They have some importance for life. And therefore, a tradition is not even traditional except when it is alive. Tradition means something alive. If tradition had not been alive, it had been depositing dust of the past only. It had been a thing of the past, a relic of the past. Because it is important, because it is full of life, that's why it is continuing. If a water is not flowing, then what happens? It becomes stagnant. In the same way, that proverb which is of no value, it shall become stagnant like a stagnant water and which shall choke you only. It is great fun to find that the world has not repeated proverbs because they are proverbial. Proverbs are not repeated because they are proverbs, but because they are practical. They contain some practical wisdom. They contain worldly wisdom. They have the genius of our ancestors, the practicality of our forefathers, who presented truths of life in a nutshell, in a few words, which is important for the coming. That is the real heredity. That is the real treasure which is surrendered to us, which is given from one generation to other generation. And until now, Chesterton is giving some examples of the proverbs. Until I owned a dog, I never knew what is meant by the proverb being letting a sleeping dog lie. There is a proverb in English people, in English society, let a sleeping dog lie. A person who doesn't have a dog, he doesn't know the importance of this proverb. You know, when a dog is sleeping and you are hitting it with something, you make it awake, then what will happen? You don't know the fury of the dog. It may attack you. So, the proverb, let a sleeping dog lie, is meaningful because it is warning you of the fury of a sleeping dog when it is made awake, how it will harm you, how it will bark at you, you can't imagine. Only those people know this thing who are having pets as dogs as pets. Or the fable about the dog in the manger. Then there is a story, a dog in the manger. What is a manger? Manger is a box in which fodder is given to the cattle. Cattle are grazing in these mangers. They can be told to be lunch boxes of them. And a dog in the manger because hay is of no importance to a dog. It is cattle are grazing only, but if a dog is occupying the manger, if it is sleeping in the manger and it is not allowing the cattle to graze, then what will happen? That hay is of no importance to it, but cattle are also kept hungry. So it means that a self-centered person will not allow others to make use of the thing which is of no use to him, just as manger is of no use to a dog, but he is not permitting the cattle to graze in it. So the fable, when young people were young, when they are immature, they do not know the importance of the story, the meaning of the story, the moral of the story, but when they are advancing in years, they know if a thing is no importance to you, let it be used by others. Otherwise, you will be a self-centered person, not useful for the society. Nowadays, you see all the society is like dog in the manger because people are hoarding things and they don't allow others. Some are starving and some are hoarding more than necessary. So, dog in the manger. Now, those dead proverbs are quite alive to me. Chesterton says that when he is advancing in years, these proverbs are meaningful to him, alive to him, and contain some moral of the life for him, and he is for they are parts of a perfectly practical psychology. He is praising the psychology of our ancestors who through very practical maxims used to surrender the knowledge of their experience to the coming generation. These are full of psychological truths of life, practical psychology, which is throwing light on human nature. What will be useful for you and what you should do. There is a list of do's and don'ts, what you should do in your life and what things you should avoid in your life. So, these things are having value when he is growing in years. The things which used to irritate him when he was immature, all of a sudden they are meaningful to him. They are a part of psychological practicality to him. And until I went to live in the country, I had no notion of the meaning of the maxim, it's ill wind that blows nobody good. In metropolitan cities where there are skyscrapers, where a person can't have a glimpse of nature, just as Wordsworth says, the world is too much with us. Human beings are so busy in materialistic aspects that they have no time for nature, they have no time for self, they have no time for society. So, Chesterton says that until he went to live in a country, in a rural area, he had no idea of the maxim, it is ill wind that blows nobody good. If wind is ill, it will do nothing good to the person. It also means, this proverb means that there is nothing which is totally discardable, disposable, because nature has made everything useful. Even if a thing is of no use to anybody, it may have some positive point, it may have some useful thing in it. For example, poison, which may kill others, it may treat some person, poison kills poison. So it is ill wind that blows nobody good. When he went to live in a countryside, then only he knew, he realized the value of this proverb, it is ill wind that blows nobody good. Now it seems to me as pertinent and even pungent as if it were a new remark. The thing which seemed to him stale, the thing which seemed to him to be unfresh and dead, all of a sudden it has gained, it has acquired very something meaningful in it, and it is pertinent and pungent, and it is a fresh remark, just as a neighbor at the garden gate. It seems to him as if at the gate of the garden a person is making a very fresh remark at him. It is something to come to live in the world of living insignificant things instead of dead and unmeaningful. The things which were dead and unmeaningful to him when he was young, when he was immature, they are acquiring a new meaning to him, a new color to him, and he realizes the folly mistakes, the folly thought of the mind, the folly viewpoint which he had when he was young. And it is youth in revolt. Even in righteous revolt, which sees its surroundings as dead and unmeaningful. Youth of today, they are of revolting nature. They revolt against everything which is all around them. They do not give any value to historical things, to anthropological things. They want to demolish everything which is past, which is dead, which is old, and they want to erect new structures on them. And though young people are right, because they want something novelty in their life, something novel in their life, and they rebel against anything dead, anything past, anything which is old. So though they are having their own viewpoint, they are right in their point of view, but it is old days which is thought to be second childhood, repetition of follies of life which have come to see that everything means something, and life itself has never died. Life is never dead, only death is dead. Life is always full of life. Life is always alive. If a person is 100 years old, even then he is full of life. We can't declare him dead. So everything past is meaningful. Everything old is meaningful because it contains something meaningful, something worthwhile, something useful. Otherwise, it would have been dead long ago. Thank you. We'll continue tomorrow.